Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sarah. I'm a certified life and business coach, and I help heart-centered service providers, creatives, and spiritual entrepreneurs build the lives and businesses of their dreams. And I've been going live every day this month to talk about everything related to goals, goal setting, intentions, New Year's resolutions, everything related to how to make 2024 the year that you want it to be and the year that you reach some of the goals and intentions that you've had your sights set on. And I've been talking about various tips, tricks, and techniques that help us make moves toward our goals and how to address places where people commonly get stuck. And one of the biggest places that I see people get stuck in my coaching practice is overthinking. And this one can go really deep. If you're an overthinker, my heart goes out to you. It can be very difficult for my overthinkers to make moves toward the things that they want. And the overthinking itself becomes something that they can shame and blame and guilt themselves about. It doesn't feel good to be in that rumination network and to be looping yourself through possibilities and never really making any progress. And then it's easy to start feeling bad about that. And so I'm not going to spend too much time describing what overthinking is like, because if you're still watching, that means you already know and you're ready to get out of it. So I'm going to offer a few different techniques that you can use when you're in that rumination loop and you're overthinking a situation. And some of them might feel very simple, and I want you to not dismiss them. I think another thing that I find, especially in overthinkers, first of all, you're probably brilliant and, kudos to you. But sometimes smart people are the hardest clients. I know I'm a smart person and a hard client because we are already thinking about so many things and we've probably tried a lot of things. And so it's easy for us to dismiss things and also to think that if something is simple, it may not be effective, but that's not really the case. Sometimes the simplest things are the most effective. We're already overthinking. We don't need to overcomplicate on top of overthinking. Let's do some let's do some underachieving here. Let's do some simple, let's do some easy, let's do some light lift, some light work, some very simple techniques to get us out of this loop when we're stuck in it. So the first tip that I have for you, if you are stuck in overthinking, is write it down. I know that seems very simple. I'm always recommending journaling, but there is something different that happens in our brains and the way that we process information when we ask ourselves to write out a situation rather than just try to keep it all in our head and think it through. We've all been trained to write a certain way. We've all, if you've been to school and you learn to write any type of essay or you know how to write any type of business communication, we're trained to write in a way that leads to a conclusion. And so just the process of trying to write out your thoughts is going to make you start to organize the thoughts in a way that they're not when they're just swimming around in your little rumination network in your brain. The other thing is that seeing yourself write the thoughts down and reading them back is going to give you new insight. It's going to create some new pathways and new momentum that you're not experiencing, again, when you're just on this loop through here are all the different options and here's all the different ways that this could go. And what if it this and what if it that? And here I am right back at the beginning again. You're going to get something different as you start to see your thoughts on paper reflected back to you. And that's going to give you some new information to work with. So step number one, try writing it down. Number two, go for a walk. Being mobile while you're thinking is very valuable. There is, again, something different that happens when you're thinking through an issue while moving than there is when you're just laying down or sitting down. Fresh perspective, fresh air, literally like the bilateral movement in your body is stimulating the left and right hemispheres of your brain. Also, when you're walking somewhere, you are making physical progress. It gives your body the sensation of moving forward through something versus being stuck somewhere. And so thinking through the issue walking may give you some different relief than just thinking sitting still. Now, to take that walk up a notch, talk it through. while you're walking out loud. You can call a friend, but if you're not ready to talk this issue through with another human being, you can also just put on headphones so that it looks like you're talking on the phone and talk it through out loud. Voice note yourself. Whatever it is that you can do to feel comfortable talking. I just talk out loud walking down the street. I don't mind looking nuts to my neighbors. They're used to me. They're like, oh, that's that lady who roams the neighborhood in the morning with no dog. I always think it's funny. I see all the dog walkers and I don't have a dog. I'm just out there talking to myself. It's fine. It's good for them. We all get to be the weirdest part of someone's day, and that's a blessing. So if you're not comfortable being the weirdest part of someone's day, pretend you're on the phone, put on a pair of headphones, make like you're voice noting to yourself, whatever it is that you need to do to talk the issue through out loud while you're walking. So we have a similar thing to what happens when you're writing. It's going to make you start to form complete sentences and form complete thoughts. You're going to hear yourself processing it through, and you're going to have an opportunity to reflect on the information a little differently. And you have the walk happening, so you have that feeling of progress and moving through the issue. Things will open up. I know how annoying it is. Many of my clients, and I talk about this all the time, how annoying it is for so many of us that very simple things like breathing and walking and journaling do in fact help so much, because they are so simple that it's easy to overlook them. And you're like, oh yeah, have you tried taking a walk? I get it. But those things really are effective. So before you dismiss it, try it, see if it gives you relief. If it still doesn't, let's go into the next one. The next one is a little bit more heady, but stick with me. Understand the difference between a choice and a decision. One of the things that I find with a lot of my overthinkers is that they don't give themselves the room to make a lot of choices, and they don't give themselves the room to do much or any experimentation and evaluation. They put a lot of pressure on themselves to make decisions. And decisions are very different from choices and experiments. The word decide has a Latin root that means to cut. It literally means to cut off any other option. I love decisions. You will hear me say that I think decisions are some of the most powerful forces in the universe. When you decide you're going to do something, it means you've cut off any other possibility. When I decided I was going to go all in on my business, I quit my job before I was ready to do it. I don't necessarily recommend that, but that's what I needed to do. No backup plan. I am cutting off any other option. Then I will be successful at this because it's sink or swim, and I will not sink. This is what I'm doing. Decisions are profoundly powerful, but the best decisions are created not from theory and not from intellect, but from experience. We make the best decisions when we've had enough experience with a topic to feel very confident about cutting off all other options. This is why we test drive cars. You don't just buy one. I mean, maybe you do, but I wouldn't. I want to go, I want to kick the tires, I want to drive it, I want to see how it feels, I want to see how I look in it. I might drive 3 or 4. I might go to some different dealerships on different days. I'm going to try some things out. And then based on my experience of touching, feeling, driving around in these different cars, that's how I'm going to make my final decision, where I cut off all other options and I say, this is the car I'm committing to. With dating, we don't just marry the first person we meet. Again, maybe you did, but most of us are going to try some things out. We're going to date a lot of different kinds of people. We're going to figure out what works for us and what doesn't. And from that, we are in a better position to make a decision about entering into a long-term or committed or marriage type relationship with a person, because we have made enough choices. We've tried enough things out. We've done enough experiments to know I have a lot of data about this. I have a lot of data about how I operate in these different situations. I know more about what I'm looking for and what's good for me. And now I feel comfortable making a more final decision with this information that I have. So sometimes my overthinkers, I find that they're trying to make a decision purely born of intellect and pros and cons lists and thinking through things they've never tried before. No wonder it's hard to make a final decision. You don't have enough experiential data to cut off all other possibilities. You don't know how it might work. And so if this is the case, the solution for this is to bring experimentation into your world. You want to experiment and you want to evaluate. You want to make your lists and come up with a few different options that could work, and then just try something. Doesn't matter what, because you're not married to it and you don't have to stick to it forever. You can make the decision, I'm going to try 5 things and then I'm going to choose from there, right? So you want to give yourself some space and some grace and some time to try some things out, to experiment, to see how things go, and to gather that data and then try something else. If you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself that you have to pick something, and once you do, you will not be allowed to change your mind, and there is a right decision and a wrong decision. And if you make the wrong one, something catastrophic is going to happen. Well, then of course you're overthinking because the stakes are so high. But if we free ourselves up a little bit and say, I'm going to give myself 6 months, 3 months, a year to experiment and try things out. And once I've tried this many things, or I've tried things for this long, I'm going to look at all of the data I've gathered from my experiments, and then I will be in a better position to make an informed decision about what I'd like to do next. Free yourself up on the back end of some of these choices. So if you find that you're trapped in an overthinking spiral, one of the first things that you can write down is, what weight am I putting on this decision and what am I making it mean? Right? Am I telling myself the story there's a right and a wrong? And if I make the wrong one, what am I telling myself is going to happen? How can I get myself out of making this so very heavy? And from there, writing through all of the things that are swimming around in your head, giving yourself a chance to look at them, to read them, to talk through them with a friend, to talk through them while walking, and to give yourself a little bit of space to do some experimentation and experiment with making some choices before you need to make a decision, and see if that helps lighten up the overthinking. Almost always, overthinking means we're putting such a heavy load on the consequence of whatever it is that we're ruminating over, and that there's room for a little bit more lightness, a little bit more ease, a little bit more experimentation. Maybe it doesn't need to be quite so dire. So I hope that this was helpful for you. If it was, please leave me a comment and let me know. I would love to hear about it. While you're there, make sure you subscribe to this channel. So many people watch these videos and don't subscribe, and it really helps me out. I appreciate each and every one of you who are subscribing so very much. I am also including a link in the show notes for a free annual review and planning journal. Today is the last day of my little live series that I'm going to be offering this. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a different little free gift for you, because it's 111 today. It's 111. Love that for us on the angel numbers. But we are coming into the year. And so I'm going to switch away from this annual review and planning. I think many people are kind of farther along now in reviewing 2023 and setting their plans for 2024. So we're moving into a new gift that I'm going to have for you when I come talk to you tomorrow. So if you want that free annual review and planning journal, it's going to walk you through reviewing all of 2023 and then setting intentions for 2024, and includes a 12-month tarot spread for your business for the year of 2024. You can grab that journal in the show notes. It is absolutely free. I would love for you to have a copy. And I will see you back here tomorrow for these daily January drops. Thank you so much for being here. I've been really enjoying doing this series, and I hope you're enjoying being along for the ride. Okay, love you. Bye.